Welcome to Raising Nashville. I'm Bucky.
Juicebox. Oldboy.
And on this week's episode, we have a follow-up to Juicebox, if I'm not mistaken, our most downloaded or listened to episode so far.
It was until very recently, and some of our new episodes have actually surpassed it.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
So back in June.
So thank you to new listeners.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you. Listenership is growing out there, and that's exactly what you want from a made from scratch podcast. But anyway, back in June we recorded an episode called Tinfoil Hat Time. It was our 13th episode of Raising Nashville, and we really enjoyed recording that, and it got a big pop right off the beginning.
Yeah.
Because and I didn't know this, but apparently there are a lot of people out there that are really into conspiracies.
Oh, man.
You didn't know that?
I didn't. I maybe I'm living under a rock, but I just didn't think it was like something that people were really into.
Okay. I don't know how you get around.
Even after we recorded that episode, you weren't more intrigued by them?
After I definitely was, but when you guys brought to me that topic and said I need you to look up a conspiracy, and then we're going to do a podcast on it, so I just started Googling conspiracies, and it turns out from episode 13 I might have come up with the best conspiracy.
Well, you didn't come up with it, but
I didn't come up with it, but I sold it to you guys.
You did.
Which was the infamous fact that the Titanic never sunk. And if you don't believe that, go back to episode 13 of Raising Nashville Podcast. I bet I can change your mind.
It's a convincing argument. I enjoyed your conspiracy.
So with that being said, we are back for Tinfoil Hat Time 2. And we want to get into some new conspiracies because it is about to be 2020. And we are excited. So a lot of people have traditions for New Year's, and our traditions are diving into new conspiracies, apparently.
Yeah. Start the New Year's off right.
Yeah. You want to learn something new. And in fact, the conspiracy I researched this week, I learned a lot from. But I hear that Oldboy has one that's going to top it. So we want to kick the episode off with him and what he wants to dive into in regards to his conspiracy.
Yep. And mine is there is no Australia.
What?
Can prove it.
What?
What does that even mean?
Have you ever been?
Many people have never been to Australia. There are many
It
people.
ain't real.
Okay. Where do Australian accents come from then?
England.
All right, get into it because I do not believe you.
That's not my conspiracy, but I recently heard that is a conspiracy, so I can't wait to jump down that hole.
Thank God, because
All right.
I was about to get in a mad argument with you.
My conspiracy, and it's Christmas related, is the elf on the shelf is really a tool designed to teach and instruct kids to be more comfortable with surveillance.
Oh,
police
shit.
states.
Okay.
Damn.
So,
I'm already convinced.
right, like it's a pretty good argument. So
What? These wholesome dolls that we use every year to keep our kids aware that, Santa has this little guy who's always watching for him, making sure you're not going to be naughty. And
Santa, the dictator.
Oh no, just keep going. You're doing a great job.
Check to see if you're going to be nice.
Right.
That have gone viral from the things that their parents are placing them, in these little scenes to make it look cute and quirky and creative.
Uh-huh.
You're telling me that is a ploy by the government to train our children
to be
okay with people watching them
and to be under constant surveillance.
Okay.
And to be accepting and complacent with constant surveillance. Think about it. You just said, listen to what you just said.
Dude, that is very scary.
There are nanny cams out there all the time, and
right.
But
also
but your
scary.
parents are not telling you that there's a camera in that teddy bear because they don't want you to know you're being surveilled.
Right.
Yeah. So how is an elf on the shelf, which is a doll that just magically is somewhere else in the room the next morning?
All right, Bucky. I'm not saying the elf on the shelf is real surveillance. So you could, yeah. You sound like you did something bad in front of one, and now you're like it's. But
now you got to try to hack it.
Yeah, you're like, it's not real.
I might have.
It's not real. And that's the whole point. Like, it's a toy. So the story,
it's conditioning them to be surveilled all the time. There's always somebody watching you. There's always something watching you.
Right. It's Big Brother, right?
Then wouldn't every one of your stuffed animals be considered that?
No, because you don't train them that way. You don't tell them that this elf is this stuffed animal is watching you all the time. Like.
So back in 2005, this book and this toy was created, Elf on the Shelf, by 2 teachers or something. So I'm not discrediting them. I think it's a great business idea and this and that. But
I'd like to know a little bit about their background, though.
Yeah, and it's an amazing business idea.
Yeah, they really capitalize on that. So and I think one of their daughters was a marketing student, so they jumped into it. So beyond that, though, to the conspiracy aspect of it. The story of the elf on the shelf is that, all right, so you have this elf, you have this entity that is in your house now, right? And it instructs parents to hide it around the house each day. And you teach the child that they cannot touch the elf. That's one of the rules in the book, in the story.
Okay.
Now, some parents adopt different things. They're like, it's a toy, do whatever you want with it. But the message is that the elf is constantly watching you. And will run back and tell Santa, the man, the boss, if you've been bad or good. So you are teaching your child that you are under surveillance.
It sounds like you're teaching your child how to encounter a supervisor in life.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's it. So a lot of people have compared this to an 18th century philosophical prison, which is called a panoptic. I'm not going to be able to. It
sounds right.
Sure. It's a prison. Basically, it's a prison structure where there's cells. It's like a circle, and there's cells all the way around the outside, and there's a central tower in the middle with a single guard. And the theory is that while we know physically a guard couldn't watch everybody all the time to know if the prisoners are acting up, but the prisoners don't know, so it should influence them to be on their best behavior. Okay. See what I mean? So in a way, they're saying that this is a panoptic device because the doll theoretically, it's magic. It can be anywhere and be watching you, and it's creepy. I mean, mine looks naughty as fuck anyway. It's got he's got his little eyes and like
those eyes. There's something wrong with the eyes.
Yeah, he's smiling too much. So I'm like, man, I don't know. I think he's naughty. That's my message. I'm like, I think the surveillance doll's naughty, dude.
When you texted me the other day that this was going to be your conspiracy, I was like, oh, man, Elf on the Shelf. I can't wait to start doing that with my kid.
Right.
That was your response.
Yeah. And now I'm like, no.
Creeped out by it? Oh,
yeah.
Me too. And it is fun because, man, my kid wakes up and she's like, where's Elfie? So you get to name it, too. Mm-hmm. And ours is Elfie. My kid's pretty imaginative. So she's like, Elfie, where's Elfie? And we, my wife's been really good about doing some stuff. And I was real strong on it last year. And then I realized that, it's NSA. So now, real quick, I do want to point out something. I want to kind of also debunk my own conspiracy theory a little bit because I feel like you guys know I'm anti-Santa, right?
You're pretty much anti a lot of things.
A lot of things. Do you think
Christmas is one of them?
One of them. No, not Christmas. Just Santa. Like because there's a whole lie that you have to participate in, and I just think it's
your Santa beliefs.
So just dishonest. I hate that. So, but the thing is, if you really think about Santa Claus, besides his dictatorship, which Juicebox brought up in an earlier episode, something else a little off about Santa is that if you take the elf on the shelf out of it, he's always known he knows when you've been sleeping. He knows when you're awake. And I mean, he's already surveillance, right? And now they've just put a face with it, and his name's Elfie. So it's always been there.
God.
Santa's.
Okay. So first conspiracy on the board, which we're.
I convinced Juicebox. What about you?
You did not convince me. It would have been even more convincing if you told me that there was like a tracker in every elf on a shelf.
You got Amazon Echo?
Well be, yeah. Exactly.
I do. I understand how technology works. And
Yeah, you got a phone?
before we wrap the Elf on the Shelf up, I quickly abandoned Elf on the Shelf after about, I don't know, 14, 15 days.
You got
it
sick
is
of doing
it
it?
is difficult. For those of you out there that have not done Elf on the Shelf and you have not been swayed by Oldboy today to never do it ever, if you still want to bring your kids magic and joy, it's not easy.
I think, fuck. I think it's fun, and I think it's probably innocent. I really don't, in my heart of hearts, don't believe it's sinister. I think your Amazon Echoes and your phones and Google, hello Google or Google, whatever it is.
That is crazy. All right, so my conspiracy for this week's episode, I was thinking about it pretty hard because I thought, before we did the first conspiracy theory episode 13, I didn't know very much about conspiracies. I never followed them or anything like that, and I feel like I hit a home run with this Titanic in my first shot at it ever. So I said, I can't do that again and convince you guys something, So what I wanted to do, I dove into the sports world for my conspiracy because I was just looking up random ones, and what came in, I can tell you real quick, what came in second is the 1984 Pepsi 400 NASCAR race.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what that is?
That's that video game you had in college.
No, it's not. It's not. But 84 NASCAR race, Richard Petty wins his 200th race while the first sitting president was ever at a NASCAR race, and his rival just ducks off the track right before he wins the race. I mean, it's pretty. It goes in depth, but
Is that more of a conspiracy than Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning that race after his dad died the year before?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's the same thing. But what intrigued me more is considerably one of the best sports conspiracies ever out there. And it is titled, you can find this out there, Google it, The Frozen Envelope. And this all revolves around the 1985 NBA draft and how the NBA draft was rigged so that the New York Knicks would get the number one pick, which was Patrick Ewing. Arguably the greatest decorated basketball player coming out of college ever, even more than Michael Jordan, who came out the year before and he was a rookie during this 85 NBA draft. But Patrick Ewing was a 3-time first-team All-American. He won the NCAA championship in 1984 with Georgetown. He went 3 straight times. He was 2-time Big East Player of the Year and 1985 NCAA Player of the Year. They said, again, most recognized athlete ever to enter a major professional sport. So in this 1985 NBA draft, David Stern, who was up until Adam Silver, he was a longtime commissioner in the NBA. Mm-hmm. He became commissioner in 1984. So this was his very first draft ever. And prior to this year, the way the draft worked was the lowest 2 teams in the NBA who had the worst records flipped a coin to see who got the number 1 draft pick, and the loser got the number 2 draft pick. So basically, teams were just tanking to get this coin flip, right? Yeah. So David Stern, in order to make a splash into the NBA, it's his first year as commissioner, he develops the first lottery ever in the NBA, which means the bottom 7 teams all had a very equal chance. In fact, it was I think it was 14. Everybody had a 14.3% chance out of all 7 of these teams to get the number 1 pick. Not only that, David Stern wanted to make an even bigger splash by putting this on TV, which had never, ever been done before. So,
because before it was just a coin flip.
It was just a coin flip behind closed doors. One team won. Yeah. I bet there was a lot of money that influenced that, right? So anyway, in 1985, to get ready for this NBA draft lottery, and let me back up just for a second. This is going to be a great stat for you guys. The reason David Stern created this live NBA draft and the lottery was to cover something up that was going on in the NBA at the time. And the major headlines that were going on during 1980 to 1984 were 40 to 75% of NBA players were on cocaine. And literally, it was the
80s.
It was the 80s. It was an ongoing 4-year story that NBA, they were losing viewership. They were losing people going to games. Nobody cared anymore. Then Michael Jordan was supposed to bring that back. But then everybody saw the opportunity for Patrick Ewing. So they hadn't won a title since 1973. You know, New York was fed up. They needed to bring somebody big, and there was no second place to Patrick Ewing in that draft. When you went number one, you knew who you were getting, and everybody else was light years behind this guy.
Right. Okay. I can buy that.
All right, so David Stern, let me tell you this. David Stern is from New York. He is probably currently getting pressure from NBA marketing agencies to the fact that the biggest market in sports needs the biggest athlete to ever come out of college, right?
Oh, right.
It's just a match made in heaven. So this lottery happens live on TV, and it is absolutely crazy. They're envelopes. First time they've done envelopes instead of ping pong balls, which would make more sense.
Sure.
But the reason they didn't do ping pong balls is because they had a meeting like a week before saying one was going to fall out and they were going to look like assholes on TV, and it had to go perfect. Right. So they put these big white envelopes in this.
Hard to fake a ping pong ball. I get it.
Yeah. So they put these big white envelopes in this big what's it called? One of those things that turns
like a shuffler.
Oh, I got it written down here. It's called a hopper. A hopper is something you put things in and you turn it around and shuffle things up. So he puts these these envelopes are to be put in this hopper. He spins it up. He reaches down and he grabs one. He pulls it out. It's the New York Knicks. And since that very moment, there have been conspiracies on how he picked the Knicks when they had a 1 out of 7 chance. I mean, it could have happened, straight out of luck. But there are a lot of people who don't think that's true. So that's why this is called the frozen envelope. The conspiracy goes that they froze the envelope because paper is one of the only materials that it looks the exact same. It doesn't change color when being frozen. So they're saying that when they put the envelopes in there, the next one was frozen, and when David Stern reached in to grab that envelope, he felt that.
He grabbed the cold one.
Yeah. Here's where it gets even crazier.
He's a huge Knicks fan.
I'm sure he was a huge Knicks fan. Gets even crazier. As many of these lotteries go these days, they're hired by accounting firms, right? Accounting firms take care of the lottery, especially in the Academy Awards. They always name the accounting firm that holds the keys to the envelope with the winner's name in it or whatever, right? So this was one of the first years an accounting firm handled the first lottery. An accounting firm called Ernst & Winnie handled that lottery. They brought the envelopes out. They placed them in the hopper for David Stern to draw out.
Hell yeah.
Here's where it gets even crazier. Ernst & Winnie is the accounting firm at the time for Gulf and Western. Gulf and Western is a major company who fucking owns the New York Knicks. So, accounting firm for one of the biggest companies in the world that owns a basketball team in New York is handling this drawing. There's videos out there that you can watch of this actual drawing. There's a second theory that says
it's fucking steam rolling off the envelope.
Oh yeah, it's not. That's what it doesn't. There was something about that too, to where they said that they put it in dry ice
because there's no moisture or something within the paper, maybe.
So the second theory is if you watch the video, and we'll post this on our Instagram, but if you watch the video, the New York Knicks are in the fourth envelope that is put into the hopper. That fourth envelope is the only one that's not carefully placed and actually thrown against the bar in the middle of the hopper, so it possibly would have bent the side so that David Stern knew which one to grab. There's a third theory out there that the glasses he was wearing in that video were X-ray. I'm not into that.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought
where this is going.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say after he picked it up, he blew on his fingers. It's like, ooh.
No, but if you watch the video, the way he turns the envelopes and fills around, I mean, it is kind of blatant. No one has ever come out that was involved in any of that and said anything to the contrary.
Okay, could we pause and watch it? I can't imagine it's very long. Can we just pause it and watch it real quick?
Sure.
All right, so we're back and we just watched the video. Okay.
Was I right?
Yeah. I mean, it did look suspect, but it could also be people have overanalyzed something way too much, which is most of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
You guys should watch that video. Before we end the frozen envelope, I wanted to mention some of the notable draft picks that year.
Okay.
Patrick Ewing went overall number 1. He became an 11-time All-Star, NBA Rookie of the Year. He was on the all-time team, and his jersey's been retired by the New York Knicks. He was a fucking fucking baller. He
Yeah.
took them to 11 straight playoffs after he was drafted.
Yeah.
So the Knicks were really relevant under him. They just never won.
Never won that championship.
They didn't. I mean, they went to the conference title in 94 and 99. That's twice. And they won their division in 89, 93, and 94 with Ewing. And that's not that much. I mean, you didn't win.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
cheated.
He was unfortunate enough to play in the same division as Michael Jordan.
So that's it. That's the frozen envelope.
It's interesting. I like it.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to take it in a different direction than sports conspiracies.
Okay. Thank you.
So you guys know how like people get discouraged when they're voting. Sometimes they're like, it feels like every candidate is the same. They're all really just like saying the same thing, but just in a slightly different way. I don't want to vote for any of them.
Sure. There's a lot in this election currently
Right.
on the Democratic side.
Right. So there may be something behind that, according to some people. There's apparently has been a reptilian race that has infiltrated the human race, or possibly even helped create the human race for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And they have infiltrated the highest levels of our society. And there are presidents, there are queens, kings, anybody that's they're actors, they're
Basically the plot of Men in Black.
yeah, kind of. I guess Men in Black maybe got their idea from this.
Okay?
So
Tell me more.
Reptilian figures have been around since like I mean they're kind of referenced in the Bible. You know, if you think about it, like Adam talked to a serpent. You know, that could be obviously like a lizard person or something
Sure.
like that. If you really want to like stretch it.
Right.
But anyway, like there's a dude named David Icke that was really popularized this in I think the 80s, I guess. And he was like a conspiracy theorist, and he was like really just pumped all his resources and all his brain energy into figuring this out.
Oh, yeah.
So his theory is, or the theory is, there's a reptilian race called the Anunnaki who have been controlling what's going on with Earth and been mating with Earth people or splicing their DNA and making half reptilian, half humans for thousands of years. And these people are the people that really control society.
Like
So
the
you-
movie Species?
Yeah, I guess kind of.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch that. There's only one thing I've pulled from that movie.
But
I bet you pulled something from that movie.
Wow. You do exactly what I was talking about. All right. I really get off on reptile people.
okay, so you're going to be into this because apparently like some of the celebrities that are allegedly reptilian people are Angelina Jolie and
Clearly.
Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah. Both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also call out Bob Hope, which I think is
Okay.
a funny one.
This is like Men in Black.
So this conspiracy's been around for a while. One of the proof they have is that Barack Obama and George W. Bush are like distant cousins, and they're both believed to be like reptilian people.
The
Okay.
Anunnaki. David Icke is a maniac, but
Yeah, and I'm not doing this justice because I mean, there's so much information. Like I couldn't really pull it. I couldn't pull it all. There's so much stuff. But basically, like the whole overarching theory is that these people control our society and they feed off negative energy, and that's why like society is always like there's always some kind of turmoil or something going on. They're like
Conflict.
manufacturing these conflicts so they can feed off this negative energy.
Yeah.
So Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt are feeding off negative energy, making movies to create more negative energy.
No, that's just how they make a living.
Yeah, I don't. They're like part of the entertainment side, I guess, or something. I guess they're not control, or maybe they are
Is
helping
this like
control
a-
society. Or
Is it like a Scientology type thing?
Yeah, I know.
Just in a whole crazier level?
Yes.
I don't. Well,
Does Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt know they're reptilian people? Like they say, I'm a reptile?
well, that's an interesting thing you bring that up. There is theory that you could be a partial reptile person and not know you actually are.
I bet Oldboy, you are definitely half
Shit.
reptile, or at least a quarter
80%, dog.
And here's the thing, like another big thing is like these people believe that the moon is not actually the moon, it's actually a spaceship and it's hollow, and the reptilian people live on the inside and they're blasting the earth with some kind of like brainwashing ray to kind of help us or to blind us to their existence, basically.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's like I feel like the people that came up with that saw the Matrix and kind of came up with it, because there's people that are like can become woke, I guess. Like they start to learn the truth, and then they can see the reptilians, and then the rays don't work on them as well, or something.
What's that movie with Rod Piper? They Live.
They Live. Yes,
That's kind of like that.
Yeah.
You've seen that, right?
I have not.
And you call yourself a wrestling fan.
Is it a wrestling themed movie?
They wrestle aliens?
They do not. If so, I'm going home and watching it right now.
So yeah, we're mammals, right? And there's something about reptiles and mammals. I remember that they're dominant over us, and yeah, they've been controlling our history and forever.
That's
supposedly.
one thing. Well, there seems to be some kind of
Why wouldn't I have ever seen this?
because you're brainwashed by the rays that are coming from the inside of the moon.
Yeah, dude.
So if I encounter a reptile person, would they have like webbed feet and they're just always wearing shoes?
They're shapeshifters. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. They're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're like, I guess, kind of like chameleons, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you don't see them unless you're becoming woke.
You ever meet somebody like for the first time and you're like, I don't know, man.
A lot of people.
Right, and you're just immediately turned off, and you're
So
like,
everybody's reptilian people?
no, it's not reptilian. They're like, what is that? They're like from reptily.
It just sounds better.
One thing I was going to say too is there's like some debate on where they actually come from, if they're aliens or if they're like from a different dimension. People can't really seem to get on the same page about that. But one thing they do speculate is that they originally visited Earth 200,000 years ago and did some kind of DNA mixing with whatever primitive humans there were then to get us to a certain point, and then came back later, and then came back later. So it's like the classic alien interfering with human race conspiracy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It sounds like they were part of evolution.
Yeah.
They were just they just dropped in every once in a while, made sure we were on the right track.
Make a few tweaks.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
throw out
something
some,
like that.
eat some negative energy, come back. It's interesting.
I'm gonna have to say I don't believe.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy conspiracy. It's not like you guys both presented believable cases. This is something that's a little more out there, but it also is a little more entertaining to read about because it goes like it's a spider web of crazy shit out there.
Do you think Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie talk about that they're reptilian and tell people, or do you think they're like, man, we can't tell anybody?
Well, that's the thing.
You can catch them on a nanny cam.
They may not even know. Like, that's the thing. They may be like these reptilian people that they're being controlled or help, and they're popular and they're helping brainwash the masses. Like, that's basically what it is. That people speculate that Beyonce is a reptilian.
Clearly.
I can't remember about Jay-Z, but
I can see Tarantino being reptilian, or at least like a reptilian trainer.
It's a reptilian trainer?
Yeah, that's what he's doing with his movies.
Okay. You could probably get on like Reddit and,
I can
and
just
make your
start
own
that.
chapter.
Oh
to
yeah, I
this.
could just start that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty crazy. I just recommend, like I said, I just kind of scratched the surface of talking about it. Like, there's so much stuff we could have done a whole episode about this craziness.
Oh yeah, the fact that everybody in power is a reptile basically.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up the negative energy, because stuff like this, I'm always asking, okay, like, so, but what's the end game? Like, what's the point? Why would they want to control us? So if that's what they're doing is negative energy eating, I guess. So like, if all right, let's say I'm a reptile, right? Like,
okay.
I got to fucking travel to the moon to go home, and then I got to blast this negative energy. Why don't you just come out and say, listen, you fucking mammals, I'm ruling this shit. And that's probably going to create some negative energy on its own, right?
Yeah, but then there would be revolt. I mean, now we're just like sheep. We're sheep generating negative energy.
I got you.
It's easy to control.
It's easy to control. Okay, so, and it's just we're a food source of negative energy.
Yeah,
okay, I got
exactly.
you.
It's kind of like the Matrix or like any other sci-fi thing.
Shit, we need to get on some happy stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I didn't.
No.
Maybe I shouldn't have gone last.
I think it was a great
I think
ending.
This is positive. I'm gonna fight these reptiles with happiness.
Did y'all have any like runners up you were looking at as far as the conspiracy you're going to cover this week?
I was thinking about covering the fact that there's no Australia.
Okay, we covered that. There's definitely Australia. My initial conspiracy that I was going to bring up was about flat earthers because it's so popular, and how I am halfway in between. I'm halfway between flat and round Earth.
You're an oval
Dude.
Earth.
No, I'm a 3/4 Earther.
You're a flat earther who's ready to fall in line behind a dictator.
No shit.
Not though.
You're a dangerous person.
I'm not
really
a flat earther, but I can see their point. I've never, everything seems. You could walk as far as you can go, and it's still flat.
If you believe in that, you might as well believe in this reptilian shit, man. Come on. That's like a global conspiracy.
It's a joke. I can just see how they think that. I obviously don't think the world
sound like a joke.
Yeah.
Because I've only been on one continent, up and down. That's it.
Well, then, so you believe there is no Australia?
Well, what if it's a square Earth? And you get to one point and you just kind of go around the square, but there's a shortcut right in that square.
I think you should start developing this theory.
I mean, you could. It's like one of those clear crystal things where the little hologram is on the inside. Once you get to the corner of one of the squares of that, you can just cut through. I guess I would make it round at that point, but the atmosphere is square.
Have y'all watched?
That's what I'm going to start.
Have y'all watched that Flat Earth conspiracy movie on Netflix?
No.
I haven't.
I did. I watched it a while back, and it's pretty good. And it takes you into their world and what they believe, and like, they're smart, educated people. They're just misguided on what they believe.
Right.
And I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, what are your favorite conspiracies out there? We want to know. Reach out to us on your socials and bring something up because we have so much fun doing these kind of the second segment of a podcast we did quite a while ago. That if you bring up something interesting, we might do a third and turn it into what I love to talk about on Raising Nashville, a trilogy. Oh. Because it just creates so much love from you guys, and we can bounce back and forth on our Star Wars analogies. Yep. Send us your conspiracy theories. We'd love to look at them, research them, go down rabbit holes, and cover them.
Take us there.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of like conspiracy podcasts that I listen to also, like where you can get some awesome shit. There's a podcast called Last Podcast on the Left. It's like
great name. It's
like a comedian, a couple other people. I can't remember exactly their names. This is a great endorsement. Yeah. But Last Podcast on the Left, there's like 1,000 episodes. You can find something that you're into. And if you want to go down a real rabbit hole and get into this whole QAnon conspiracy thing that's been going on for the past couple of years, like we don't even want to touch on that on this podcast.
Too much content.
But there's a podcast called QAnon Anonymous that are just like going through and kind of debunking all this crazy shit that they like exposing what they believe in and then just telling you why it's just complete bullshit.
I'll have to check that out.
It's an interesting listen. I wouldn't recommend listening to too many episodes in a row because it'll send you to a dark place. That there's some crazy people out there believing some crazy shit.
I've got one too. I listened to Time Suck. It's by a comedian, Dan Cummins.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he doesn't always cover conspiracies, but his he just tears them apart, and it's pretty good.
That's great. Well, always. Wherever you listen to your podcast, if you don't mind going on there and rating us, liking us, tell your friends to listen to Raising Nashville. Find us on our socials, Raising Nashville Podcast. We really enjoy doing this every week, and we hope you guys have a wonderful and safe and abundant 2020. Happy fucking New Year.
I know. I just want to say this is the end of a decade.
It is.
It's pretty crazy to think
that is wild.
1 decade ago, I didn't even know I was going to move to Nashville.
Damn.
And then like 6 months or 8 months later, I did.
Hell yeah.
Damn, and that is crazy.
We're happy to have you. And it's not like Y2K, though.
Yeah, that was wild.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
We hope you guys enjoyed listening. If you don't have children,
have one.
Have one.
Catch up.
Yeah. We want you to know what we go through.
Yeah, the fear.